Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me is the Meeple herself, Sarah. And today we're looking at Role Player Adventures. Sarah, tell us a little bit about this game.
All right, Role Player Adventures is a cooperative, narrative campaign board game set in the world of Ulas. And the really exciting thing is, you can use characters made in the original Role Player game.
That is fantastic. Now, why did we even pick this game up in the first place?
Well, I think it would start with Role Player, the game where you would create characters. We really enjoyed that. And so when this popped up, we were like, sure, let's see what happens next.
And then we instantly forgot about it. So when it showed up and it was like a 20 to 30 pound box of game, it was super intimidating.
Yes. But we overcame that because we love cooperative narrative adventure board games. That's a lot of words, but this is really right up our alley, and that's why we got it in the first place, even if we may not have remembered that. So let's go into more specifics. What did we like about this game?
Oh my god, this is the game I didn't know I needed. So Role Player has you building the characters, and when you're done with it, I guess you could take it into any Pathfinder or D&D type role-playing system that uses those 6 stats, and most of them do, and play that character out. However, the one thing you don't really see is Ulas, the world that Role Player is based on. This game gives you Ulas.
Yes, it is. It was overwhelming to start with, but it has sucked us in, if it's not apparent. And the story is just so engaging. The characters, you can make you don't have to make characters. It does have pre-generated characters in the core box, and that's actually how we started. Although now I wish we had gone and played Role Player to make characters. But we'll do that the second time through, which I assume we will because we love this so much.
Yes.
But the story is engaging, your characters, the choices that you make, and the lovely part is that win or lose, the story moves forward and you just have to deal with the consequences. Whether it goes the way you wanted it to go or not, it keeps going, and that's what I love about it. There's no, oh, you lost adventure 1, so you have to play the whole darn thing again. That's very
anticlimactic?
Yeah, it's very discouraging because you're like, I went through it. I made choices that I thought were good or whatever. The dice rolled poorly. And so having to play the same thing over and over again just to move the story along just kind of sucks. So even though several things didn't go the way we wanted them to go in the adventures we've played so far, we have to live with them and it moves forward, and it's still very rewarding in that. I'm just at a loss of words because there's so much about this that I like.
Yeah, honestly, I feel that's going to be the hardest thing about this game is you'll make decisions, you'll see what the results are, and it's going to kill you not to go back and go, well, what if I did this?
Yes.
But we want it to be a better second playthrough.
Right.
Third playthrough, something that has a little bit more meat on the bones because it is so fun to play, that we're forcing ourselves not to ruin all the other content that's still in this game. In fact, there are keywords and title cards that keep popping up that we're like, what does that even relate to?
Yeah, we never saw those. When did they come up? We're like X adventures in, and I don't remember that.
Yes. So there is a lot to this game, and I think when it comes to the narrative, they do a fantastic job linking everything, as well as guiding you through the process, which sometimes a big narrative game says, here's all the rules, okay, my brain hurts, I'm going to get back to it, finally get back to it, play it, and then you have to remember all those rules. This game guides you through every step. It doesn't assume you remember everything, and it asks you, okay, you move to this location. Is there a cube there? Yes. Take it. Okay, I take it. Do you have this keyword? No, I do not. Do you have this title? Yes, I do. Read this. Okay.
Yeah, I really like how mean, not just straightforward and streamlined, but it is. I mean, yes, you do need to read the rules ahead of time. I'm not saying that you can just dive right in.
Right.
You do need to know how the skill checks work in the combat and general flow of everything. But if you've done it once and you get back, you at least know you need to open the next adventure book. At the top, at the very beginning of the next adventure book, it guides you through everything you need to do to reset up from what you put away the previous time.
Now, I do want to point out that it was really funny because while we were preparing for this review, we were rechecking the rules and realized we had actually played something wrong in such a way that we made the game harder for ourselves. Mm-hmm. Even though we made the game harder for ourselves, we've still had a fantastic time, and it's just been engaging. Now we're even going to have a better experience going forward, knowing what the actual rule is that didn't really mess us up.
So there are still a lot of rules to read. So I do recommend watching some videos, and we do link to a how to play video, or watching other reviews or whatever to get the rules down, or just revisit the rules every now and then just, to make sure. But even on that, I think one of the other things, everything aside that we've been talking about, why I'm so excited about this game is it's so fast to set up. So it takes, you see this big huge box, but it takes like 5 minutes to set up. And it's because this is the smallest card tray, and it just got the bits. There are 3 other trays that have cards.
You pull them out.
You pull them out, you take the lids off. They're also, you do have to set them up when you first get the game. But once all the cards and all the components are where they need to be, you literally just take out these trays. And then you'll need the rules just in case you need to reference them. You need the encounter book because there will be random encounters. But you need the adventure book that you're going to and the map that you're going to. And that's it. The map, you just lay it out on the correct side. You've got the adventure book. You start reading at the very beginning, at the very inside first page. And away you go. And I love some of the other big games that we've gotten, but there's a reason why we don't get them to the table very often, because they take 30 to 45 minutes to set up. Modular boards, all the bits that need to go on those boards, all the miniatures that you need to get out, all the cards you need to get out.
Yeah, I recall seeing some of the maps that you had to build, and it goes, okay, you need piece 13, 31, 6, and 5. And you're like, I can't find 6. I can't find 6. I looked over all of this, only to realize on the other side of some of these modules, like, oh, there's a 6 here. Yeah. Why didn't they just say that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's right. All and not a thing.
So, I guess that also is to say that as intimidating as this box is and how heavy it is, most, I would say 90% of the weight of this game, just picking this game up, is booklets and cards. And the great thing is you don't need all of that at once. In fact, you need very little of it. One of the card trays you won't even need until the end of an adventure when you go to buy things at the market. So that one you can just completely set aside or not even take out, although there might be opportunities to acquire cards during adventures. This doesn't happen very often. So that one you can put the farthest away from everybody because you're not really going to need them. So it's great that everything in this box is set up for you to succeed with this game.
Yes, lots of things for convenience sake was built into Role Player Adventures.
And I believe one of the other things that you really liked about this was the skill and combat, how that worked.
Yeah, so mechanically, and this is where I thought we'd have trouble with going into a 2-player adventure, because whenever you do some of those adventures, like, well, I'm not going to fight a dragon with just 2 people. Yeah. That's a 4-person job. This game, all the combat, all the skill challenges are, you have these particular dice of these colors that need these numbers. So it's a puzzle. That is very familiar to anyone who's played the Role Player game because that's a lot of what that game is based off of. This continues that. And in doing so, you have imperfect tools in your hands with the various cards that you play. And you can only play so many of them. So it becomes this very mind-bending efficiency game that's always engaging, always rewarding, even when you just got close, because as you cover up things, depending on what you cover up, will actually give you rewards even if you fail.
Yeah, even if you fail the overall challenge, if you can cover up the, I don't want to say correct dice, but the corresponding dice with the rewards, you can still gain benefits from your failure. And so it still makes things possible. Now, I think this is a good time to transition into what we didn't like, which is very few and far between, but one of them is that imperfect tools and the restrictions that you have on playing cards. Now, I understand why you need the card limit, or else it would be super easy after a while to be able to accomplish anything, but it can be frustrating still. And so it's not a full dislike, but it is a frustration, especially that first adventure.
Yeah, I believe the first adventure is set up so that chances are you're dead. Your party has died, and they want to show you what that means, because it's not the end of everything. You will just mark off that you had a party death happen with everybody going fatigue up.
But something does happen that you are supposed to go and read something, and we don't know what that is. So there is an effect for dying if your whole party dies. We don't know what that is yet, but we were 1 point away from that death where I was incapacitated. He had only 1 fatigue left possible, so we didn't die by the skin of our teeth.
Yes, just barely.
Just barely, but those imperfect tools of I need to make a black die a 2, and we cannot through the use of our cards, or because we need to use more cards than we can play, we can't make it a black 2 or a red 5 or whatever it is that we need to get to make that puzzle. But flip side, get a couple adventures in and you get more cards, which give you more abilities, and you level up. As you get experience, you can put those experience points into various aspects of your characters, and that allows you to increase the number of plays, bonus plays at the very least, which actually very versatile. So you can make it a little bit better, and then it is super rewarding when you complete that challenge. You're like, yes.
Yeah, now speaking of experience, that's one thing I hadn't really talked to Sarah about. When you spend it, it doesn't go to just one person, it goes to the party. And so when you level up the party and say, oh, let's get a new stat for the party, it means everybody gets a new stat.
Right.
So I can choose, I'm low on strength, I need another strength stat. Sarah's like, well, I'm low on charisma, I'll get another charisma stat. And that's fine, all for the same cost when leveling up the party.
Right. I think, and we discussed this a little bit off camera, I think this game is not probably, but it feels really good at 2 players because just having more people at the table, I think, because again, we haven't played it that way, there's going to be more people butting heads. With the cards that you acquire, if you gain a card, it has to go to 1 player and it can never be changed again. So that could create some friction amongst more players. And additionally with, what am I trying to say? Oh, making decisions. So that can also be more difficult as more people are trying to compete with what they want to do. So for me, I felt as a 2-player experience, it was really, really strong.
Yes, I felt a lot of agency in what I had to offer. Any given skill challenge, combat challenge, I was there. I was participating. I felt good about myself.
Yeah.
This was a good player experience.
Right.
And yeah, I can see, because as more players get in, you're now 1 card you can play and 1 bonus card that you have to share. So at most...
It could feel not so good. You could feel less agency in the game, potentially. Now, I'm hopeful that those who've played it, 3 and 4 players, can come back and say, no, that's not how it feels, and I'm very, very happy to hear that. But it's just looking at it analytically from, okay, as a 2-player, each of us can play 2 cards per challenge. That's really awesome. But then you go to 4 players, you can play 1 card per person. Doesn't seem like it would feel as good.
Right. And, I mean, just imagine with a solo, because a solo person can play 4 cards and have a bonus play. Man, that must be feeling really powerful.
Agreed. So I guess we were kind of sort of talking about what we didn't like about the game, but we kind of got off track. So
there's so little that there's not much to dislike about this game.
I think I'll just bring...
It's heavy.
It's heavy.
Sarah can barely lift it.
That's true. I have to have Will pick this up because it is a bit too heavy for me.
So there. We talked about dislikes.
Actually, the only other thing I would say is to watch our 2-player and accessibility video, because there are some accessibility issues with the colors. In the skill books and on the combat cards, they probably should have double coated them, because sometimes it's really hard to tell green from blue and red from purple and those kinds of things. So there is some issues with that. And I think Will is crazy, but he says that this might actually have some replayability issues. There are 11 adventures. That is long.
Yeah. Well, I feel unlike other narrative games, we're going to hit the end of this. We're going to play it again. And the spaces at which we retread or go over the same thing, we'll come at it with a little bit of foreknowledge, because you know my brain. I'm like a steel trap. I know what's happening. I know what we have done, what we haven't done. So that's where I can see a little bit of replay issues, especially for me. I can't say for you, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I think it's because we're so both excited to play this, and we do know we're going to finish it at least once, and we will probably play it again because we want to play role player, create characters, plus there's an expansion we have that adds a bit more to your character's backstory, and we didn't play it with it, so I want to experience that as well. So this is where I'm very hopeful by the time we play through this twice, which, knowing us, we could do that in the whole year of 2022. We could get through this. The community will come forward. They have posted tools to make your own campaign. And I don't know that we will, but I do have the tools. We can take a look at them, but we do have our own games to design. But I'm hoping the community will come forward and they'll start making campaigns, or even just little adventures, maybe 1 or 2 adventures or whatever. And so we'll have more content to play until they make another expansion or whatever, because I can't imagine they're going to stop with this. There's so much potential. This is a fantastic system that they've built, and so they just need to write more. And that would be it.
So with that said, let's move into our rating system. The way our rating system works is we each have a 1d6 worth of rating to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We add those two numbers together and see what the game rolls for us. We'll also give an explanation as to why we chose the number we did. Sarah, what did this roll for you?
It's not going to surprise anybody that this rolled a 6 for me. I'm not going to reiterate everything other than this is my new favorite cooperative narrative campaign board game. At this point, we have not played anything else that comes close to just how amazing this experience is, and I'm just so looking forward to playing more of it. And the only reason we're slowing down on finishing any more in December is I want this to go on my 10x10 challenge list next year, which means we actually need to have adventures left to do, even if that does mean starting on a second campaign. So yes, 6 for me. And for you? Ooh.
Okay, so I'm torn here because, like Sarah said, I'm worried about the replayability, but there is still a whole lot there, and they have the tools out. I'm going to give it a 6.
Wow.
I'm going to say this game crits us because there is just too much to like about this game. It delivers on every possible level that we want. This is just a fantastic game.
Agreed. I can't say anything more about it other than if this at all interests you, and you don't have to have played role player to get into this, because it gets you into it. So you don't have to know anything about how role player works to enjoy this, but those who play role player will absolutely enjoy the world of this. Again, as long as you like campaign, narrative, adventure games.
Yeah. It's very important to know the keywords that go into this, because there is a puzzle aspect to this. If you're not a puzzle person, that's not this game for you. But if you're a puzzle person, you want narrative, you like the fantasy. If you played Role Player and you did like the experience, this is the logical next step and will give you probably everything you were missing from that first game.
Right.
So that will do it for us here at Rolling with Reviews. If you want to get a hold of us, you can get us there by looking at any of the social medias, which are
on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube. It's Rolling with 2 TWO. Please like and subscribe.
So that will do it from us. I've been Will.
I've been Sarah.
And we've been Rolling with Reviews.